Well, guess we're on to another turn. Let's start the events here. Let's see what we pull up. All senators in the party of the current Minister of Defense. Well, there isn't one right now, but they gain +2 command for this turn. There is an election, so the new party is going to have that advantage, which makes an already powerful position even more interesting. Any party that has a shadow token on one of its senators immediately gains 1 corruption on all its senators in play. I'll take care of that in a moment. That's going to be painful. Nobody gets out of that except white. Everybody's going to gain a corruption, which is going to make the K-Ra, etc. kind of threatening this turn. Each party that has a Shorum in its caucus gains a corruption on each of its senators. Ooh. I'm going to assume that those are cumulative, but only 1 per card each. So we could have a lot of problems here. Let's take a look at what sectors. Well, let me take care of these events because they're going to affect the K-Ra roll, and I want to do the sectors just before I do that. Okay, so after distributing all those corruption tokens, just about everybody got 1, and a lot of people got 2. Blue, purple, yellow, and white each got 2. Turns out there's 44 of them out there, which means the die roll is at, let's see, +11. That's not counting his. His don't count. 11, 13, +13. No, that can't be right because 39 would be 13. 42. So 14 +14 modifier to the die roll. So these are going to be infestations no matter what. But what else? Well, they're going to be at 14 additional dice in combat. They're not defeatable. So now it's almost like there's this time limit on the game because the corruption's so high that unless people are going to do something about it, and they may, there probably will be some executions, persecutions, etc. In fact, quite a few of them. But until people do something about it, it is of some risk there. The whole government has just pretty much turned evil all at once. Kind of like the U.S. Okay, Sector 47. Ever charismatic, several Toomba royal families spread to this perimeter sector to avoid advent. None of that really matters. Sector 47. That's this one. Yeah, we know that's going to just be a revolt. I'm just going to place revolt markers. And that's going to be kind of a pain to the people who own these. They're going to be taken out. 21 of the competition. That's the aliens coming. Don't worry about it if you can hear them. Sector 23. So there's our position there. We have to calculate income, etc. But boy, the world definitely got turned on its head by these events. Okay, so as we move into the Senate phase here, the money's been collected, the cards have been handled. We're in a position where we, for the first time, have this feeling that there really is a threat. I mean, at the beginning of the game, there was this fear, hey, this could be, you know, like a Republic of Rome type game where we're all doomed, man, we're all doomed, we gotta work together. Well, you don't. You really don't. It's pretty easy, at least if you put some effort into stopping the infestations, for this to become an almost purely competition game. Maybe it's because of the way I play. Maybe there's changes in the rules where you don't get the infestation space if you fight it. But even so, it doesn't seem very difficult to send a senator out to go fight the infestation rather than gain some corruption and go fight something else. It doesn't seem that difficult to send the Republic fleet as the Senate. But at this point it is difficult. Because with 14 extra dice, there's nothing that can really face them alone. An entire fleet is 10 dice, though. there aren't leaders who are worth 4 dice in general in combat. But if they have shadow tokens, they do get extra dice. And if a good military leader has shadow tokens, they might have a chance of defeating one of these. There's another aspect. All the players want to try and reduce the amount of corruption on their senators. If they can shove it all onto one, and there's cards that allow that to happen for money, and money is almost worthless for the powerful players. In fact, this is kind of interesting. We see red's way up there at 88, but purple and yellow are at 99. They can't go higher. They are forced to convert their cash at a 3-for-1 ratio into influence points. And they're seriously going to consider trying to get some bill passed to convert money into influence at better rates. That's allowable. Of course, everyone is opposed to that, and there aren't many purple senators, so yellow probably can't carry it on their own. But once red gets up there too, there's a good chance that something may pass on that level. Okay, so now let's see what we have going on. Nobody's got more than 7 planets. I don't think anybody can win this turn. But if they have to hold out, they've got to keep, their senators alive and try to get that corruption off them. And one of the great ways is Scapegoat. It allows you to dump all your corruption onto one guy and then just kill or retire that person. On the other hand, there's a big election. All those corruption shits count against you. So these players who've been kind of scheming along with a lot of senators with low votes, well, those senators are no longer a positive for the party. Let's take a look at Laska here. She's a -4 to the votes for her party with all that corruption on her. So the balance of power may have shifted quite a bit in terms of the voting in the Senate, where having a big pile of senators is no longer that big a bonus. Having a few good ones may be what sways the overall voting. And that'll go for campaigning too. So you've got to get those corruption off the senators at this point. Now for the campaigning, it's not quite so bad because you get the extra die if you have a shadow token. But it's still not terribly useful. And this poor fellow doesn't get the extra die, but he does get the -3 penalty. So it's just not very helpful. All right. What we're going to do is move into the Senate phase. I'll come back and let you know what the hell happened, because we got a full election going on and all this madness at the same time. So this senatorial phase was so kind of key or important, I think, that I just handled the elections and I've stopped there. What happened was green, blue came to an agreement. They had enough votes to split the government. They included yellow in it. We're going to take the prime minister for green. Blue and green would each take 2 offices. Yellow would get an office, even just to give them an extra little bit of padding. Well, things kind of broke apart here. The prime ministry indeed went to green. Green assigned the Ministry of Defense over to blue. Okay. Everybody was kind of accepting that. They don't mind blue having kind of the advantages. If they could have all gathered behind blue for the Ministry of Justice, that would have been great. But the agreement that ended up happening was yellow and blue agreed to go for the Ministry of Justice, with yellow getting it and not prosecuting blue. Green being left out of that deal, so they sought it themselves. Well, after voting started on the candidates, and a lot of influence had already been spent, blue still was holding most of their influence. They forced yellow to pay the influence for the position they were getting. And red turned to them and said, how about I make, because blue had less influence than red, green or yellow had already spent all theirs. So they turned to blue and said, how about we cut a deal here? We have enough votes. We can take the government between us. I know it's not what you wanted. I'm in better shape than your other allies. But here's the deal. You will not get prosecuted, and you're going to lose the Ministry of Justice and get prosecuted. This allows both blue and red basically to keep their influence markers. And then they split the remaining 2 government positions. So blue is now really hated, especially by yellow. Green and yellow aren't all that great terms either, because green's kind of pissed that they didn't get included in the deal. We're going to go to the prosecutions at this point, and people are going to be paying to prosecute and voting on prosecuting people who have these tokens on them that indicate that they've committed an illegal act. But then the Minister of Justice pretty much gets to prosecute everyone. And this Black Iron Party has enough influence to really force the issue. They basically had a couple of choices here. Do they use their influence to try to crush the opposition senators, and that's what they're going to go for? Or do they have enough to just try to win the game? And the truth of the matter is, purple has so much influence. They probably could have bought immunity from someone by just spending influence for it. However, they just feel like they're out of the game. They have 2 senators. They're probably going to lose them at this point, no matter what they do. Even if they cut a deal, they could be backstabbed. So they feel like they're going to get knocked out of the game. Now, here's the thing. The assassin cards are going to come falling. The Minister of Justice, somebody is going to go after them. There's no question. You can't let someone, so many players have an advantage at this point to getting rid of the Ministry of Justice, no matter whose hands it was in, that we're going to see some bullets flying. And now after the prosecutions, we move to the intrigue phase. I've already determined the order there. No big shocks except yellow not having an office again. Okay, but what happened with all those prosecutions? Everybody was so terrified of them? Not a lot. We had a couple of executions. 2 characters, one the purple character who was pretty much doomed, and one of these. But the fact that there was no Minister of Justice meant that everyone wasn't targeted. So people like this with like 7 tokens on them, who could easily have been targeted, no big deal there, ended up walking away scot-free. Same with yellow's character over here. They want to get rid of these. They don't particularly want them there, but what they didn't want was to see all their other characters prosecuted at the same time. Actually, I forgot. We're going to see a couple more prosecutions. He's going after that. He's got to pay influence for her. She's got 3, 4, 5. This is just really to get rid of someone who's a danger to the whole republic. What did I say? 7, 10. That's an execution. Okay, so that's not so bad. And does someone want to get rid of yellows? Red's not terribly disturbed, but maybe with an obvious corruption, obviously guilty, they would go after him. Really, the point here, though, is purple's almost out of the game at this point, down to 1 leader with corruption on him. Not a lot they can do. They can go campaigning, and they have huge amounts of points, but they're just not going to be able to perform the kind of coup that they've needed to win the game. Now, they can send 2 fleets out to attack and get some more corruption that way. They're probably going to make their last stab at a victory at this point, and they'll certainly be stopped. But other than that, I don't. It's hard to tell. I mean, red's in a position where they could win. How's our corruption total now? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So it's only plus 10 dice now. There's just so much of it spread around so far that these Kishra or whatever are going to be really, really tough to fight this round. That's within 10 dice extra is within the realm of possibility, because there are a leader. First of all, you get 10 dice for your 10 fleets. There are leaders who give you an extra die and tend to give you some good bonuses there. There are also leaders who will give you a +5, which is clearly as good as an extra die. But yeah, that's it's a scary situation, and they may want to try destroying some of those infestations, just because if those start building up and the corruption isn't taken care of, it could end the game in a loss for everyone. Alright, so on to the military action, I guess. Let's look at where the battles formed. Purple went first. They went for 2 spreads. They're keeping their leader. He's got a very, very low chance here. But basically at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 planets, this would put them to 10 if they could win it. Now, they can also do a campaign. So with their huge amounts of influence, they think they actually have a shot still. But this is really their last gasp. If they can't do it here, they can't do it. Yellow goes on. Well, yellow went for an expansion and also an attack on purple. Picked up a lot more corruption. They're also trying to sort of claw their way into the game, but by picking up all that corruption, they may actually be throwing their chances away just because other people have corruption and maybe losing their senators for it. Yellow discarding theirs in the same way to try to get to that level seems like playing catch up in a bad way. Blue, well, blue triggered, and this isn't pleasant either, but they triggered the Republic fleet to attack. It's cheaper than doing it themselves, to attack a province that they wanted last turn. They moved their own fleet into defense of the one province, just in case somebody gets cute and tries to take that. On to green. Green took a move against white. No corruption penalty there. Trying to expand their position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would bring them up to 8. They're not looking for a win here, but and white looked and said, nobody's trying to stop red. And they marched in to one of red's key provinces, the one that gives them the initiative that's better than the rebellions. Red considered trying to defend that, but instead they're going for a 2-planet increase. That'll put them at 10 actually, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, if they can avoid losing that. But they're going to lose that, so they're going to have to do a campaign still. Again, trying to take the chance at this point. If both they and purple hit 10, though, the game continues. Alright, let's resolve these and then go on to the political side, the campaign. So militarily, everybody won their battles. Nobody took the difficult stuff on. It's just too hard. Why, when you're trying to win, would you sacrifice your chances that way? Blue, however, managed to get Sector 8, which is going to allow them to pay 10 money to remove an entire shadow token every turn. That's a huge, huge bonus. White managed to grab the initiative one. Now that's going to be a big target. People want that. They saw what red could do with it. But with this being red's last turn with it, well, they really want to win this turn. Alright, let's see where the campaigning ends up and what happens. Purple's got a lot of points, but they can only go one place. Forgot a key point. The Keshra, or whatever they are, you can't campaign in them. That's what all these cards are. Every one of them is a revolt. I could just discard those. Those aren't going to happen. So one person can campaign. White. Let's look. Purple has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have not won. Red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They also haven't won. White can do a campaign. And they will. But the question is, who do they want to go against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They don't have a lot of influence. They're not going to be able to beat anyone else on influence alone. So they're going to trigger off. They can actually do more than one campaign, but they don't have a lot of points here. So they're going to trigger this off. He's got the little teardrop thing. And of course he's white. And we're a +4 base. Well, I don't know where to find one of those. None of these are going to give them that bonus. I'd rather not face someone. Whites are bonused out here. I think getting a pile of money might not be such a bad thing for me. On the other hand, this is a somewhat easier province to take. Hard call. I think the money, I need the fleets. I'll go out here. That's a 10. So I'm at +4. Might as well roll this one out. +5 for being white. I'm going to throw all my influence in. That puts me to +11. So I essentially have a +1 on their die roll. And that's all I get. I would have had a slightly better chance down here. I got to take some chances here, though. So here's white's roll. Oh, it doesn't look good for them. And their opposition, they failed. Alright. And now we go to the cleanup phase. Nobody could have won because of the problems of the corruption and what its effect is. And we may see that getting uglier and uglier without campaigning being an available option. With only military, that kind of spirals the amount of corruption that you have. No? I don't know. It also takes influence out of the game and makes poor purple so hosed. Not that they weren't already. Alright, this one's going up, I think.